So I didn't come here expecting to deliver a speech. I came from North Carolina with my wife. Just to clarify, I'm a former member of the military, so I left the military after 7 years of service in 2022 as a captain. I served in the 2nd Infantry Division, the 82nd Airborne Division. Yeah. Uh, I say this not because I want to be recognized for my service, but just to demonstrate that this disease can happen to absolutely everyone. So I transitioned from the service. I did get COVID while in the service, and I had some long COVID symptoms, and they slowly resolved themselves. But with my second infection in August of 2023, it felt like a cold, and I developed the very debilitating long COVID symptoms that I still suffer from to this day. I'm a little symptomatic right now, so just bear with me. So something I want to stress is that I was what many consider to be, peak fitness, very driven, a leader in both my military service and then my career after the military. I too thought in 2021, actually I was in DC visiting an old Army buddy whose sister was a provider at a long COVID clinic, that when she was telling me these stories of these folks suffering, I was like, wow, that's absolutely terrible. But in my head, I thought, well, I'm physically fit, healthy, a male, and young, and so this couldn't possibly happen to me. And so while I felt sympathy inside for those who are suffering, I never thought that I'd be in this situation today. What I want to really drive, and it's really to the people who are walking around our demonstration here, is that if it can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to your parents, your siblings, your sons, your daughters, and your friends. I've endured a lot of mental and physical stress in my life from my time in the service. I've been able to push through a lot. And frankly, this is not something that you're able to just push through. Thank you. I used to think that fatigue, I used to think that I knew what the word fatigue meant. I used to think that, if you were just chronically fatigued, maybe you could just push through it if you tried. But I pushed through a lot of pain, physical pain in my life, and frankly, this surpasses all of that. The harder you push, the more it drags you down. I went from being able to run all the miles, lift all the weights, experience life, to effectively being bedbound or restricted to my apartment for these last few months. And like many long COVID sufferers, I experienced medical gaslighting. I experienced coming $13,000, $14,000 out of pocket so far. I've searched and scoured the depths of the internet looking for a cure that does not exist. And I felt alienated by my country and by society. I want to drive something that I think absolutely hinders the progression of this movement, and it's the fact that when the word COVID is said out loud, it is immediately met with some form of political resistance. This is not a politics issue. This is a human issue. This is a health issue. It doesn't not matter what form of thought in terms of the political spectrum that you lie on, because it can still affect you. And I would absolutely hate for you, and I speak to you in general out there, people walking around from this demonstration, to find yourself in a position like many of us and be met with the same barriers to receiving expedient, affordable, and equitable care when it comes to long COVID. Thank you. I promised to keep this short. I did not have a speech prepared. I felt very passionate to try to get involved. If those around us could do anything, if you're not driven to becoming a part of the movement, or providing funds, or or providing your time and effort to supporting this, I at least ask that you are made aware of this situation, that you accept that this is a real illness and a real disease that can affect anyone, and just talk about it. Because frankly, awareness will eventually drive collective action. And that's absolutely everything I wanted to say. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for being here. Thank you for those who told your stories. It was absolutely inspiring, especially those who traveled so far and have dealt with so much. You matter. You're visible. I genuinely care about you. There's many people in the community who care about you. And if you ever need anything, reach out, right? The last plug I will say is that I had the opportunity to speak on a long COVID podcast 2 weeks ago. It's fairly new. They just released their first episode. It's a long hauler from Canada who's effectively been bedbound since March 2020. And so I want to give a shout out to Noelle, who's running that podcast, and her podcast is called the Lost Voices of Long COVID. Lost Voices of Long COVID. So give it a follow, and thank you once again. I really appreciate it.